Hey, what's going on, Pull on 2? This is going to be your Phase 2 guide for Silken Cord. Big changes here is 5 Dispels are required to get the cast stopped. The ads will spawn, the ads that we saw in P1 will spawn with each set of Dispels as they go out. And again, there's just going to be a little bit more dancing, and movement is pretty scripted in this phase. The other major change that I didn't write down here is the Web Vortex, which is the ability where Skinny pulls everyone in. Actually, is slightly different on Mythic. She will pull each team separately, which I'll go into now. So, at the start of the phase, we get a blue frontal. Blue team just needs to dodge it and go back into their relative positioning. Again, we're going to be starting this phase on opposite markers, just like we did in intermission. Blue is on red, red is on blue. So let's talk about the Web Vortex. One team is chosen at a time. It is random. One pull it could be blue, one pull it could be red. You never know. Orbs will spawn on your location when you get pulled, not where you get pulled to. So it's important to pre-spread and loose spread during that, or as pulls are going out. How we handle this is the first team that gets pulled will run left and right, like perpendicular to your team, your other team. The second team will just run straight through. This is kind of what that looks like. I think in this instance, I had red getting pulled first. You see the cluster of orbs that spawn. They will be split into 2 groups. Because again, we're going to get webs as we do this. We don't need webs for anything here. Webs just do damage, so we want to break these webs as soon as possible. So we just spread left and right. And then blue gets sucked in, spawns their orbs on their relative position. And then we do what I said. So the first team that got pulled, which is red, split left and right. They're going to go get their orbs. And blue goes straight through. And that's the whole mechanic. It's pretty simple. The weak aura will show you whether to go left and right or go straight. Puts a little text on your screen. Otherwise, it's pretty easy to just remember. After that, we're going to see a red frontal. And we're going to get our first set of Dispels. This is the easy Dispel set. So Skinny is just going to stay in the center of the room. And we do the Dispels this way. How the Dispels are handled on Mythic is, again, there's 5 Dispels. It's going to prioritize blue team first, which is going to be assigned via the weak aura. And each healer is going to be assigned a assigned a Dispel to Dispel. So for example, Shiggles will always be the first Dispeller. So whoever gets Dispel number 1 will have to run in, get dispelled by Shiggles, and run back out. The rule here is you should always run in and out the same path that you went into the boss's hitbox to leave. So you're not accidentally running into people of the opposite color. And then we're going to talk about the little no-no circle or the no-no hitbox. Basically this little circle around Skinny, if you target Skinny, you'll see a circle on the ground, which is her hitbox. Just make sure if you are not the person getting dispelled, you are not inside of that circle. That's the no-no zone. Don't go in it. So here's what the dispels look like. In this instance, again, these are random. It usually kind of splits 2 and 3 or 3 and 2. It's not always the same, but in this instance, I have 3 blue dispels and 2 red dispels. And so it's going to, for the weak aura will prioritize blue first, and how I will call it as a raid leader is I will call your name and I will count down from 2. So I will say something like Liz 2 1 dispel, and you would essentially go in, dispel, and go out. Second person would go 2 1 dispel, third 2 1 dispel, fourth 2 1 dispel, fifth 2 1 dispel. I may milk that last dispel a little bit at this point to basically milk damage and try to get that last dispel off, within milliseconds of the cast going off. Might not do that. We'll see. That's going to be a feel thing. This is when we're going to be lusting. We're actually going to be lusting on the very first dispel that goes off of these 5. And the reason being is I didn't animate it here, but ads will be spawning during when the dispels get assigned. So we're going to be lusting there. All right. At this point, we're going to get a double frontal. I think one on red and then one on blue. We're just going to dodge here, and we're going to wait for Skinny to teleport. She has a couple different teleport locations. I think there's 3 in total. In this instance, I just had her teleporting over there. The same rule applies as how the teleport works in P1, is you want to stay on your relative sides as you move towards her. And we want to make sure that we're getting over to those sides rather quickly, because the web vortex, the second one and last one of this phase, will happen very quickly. So I'm again showing you, say if you are the red team and you see her go left, you're going to stay on her left as you move over. Blue team, if you see her move right, you're going right. If she were to move over here, again, blue, you're staying down here. Red, you're staying over here. Pretty easy. As you're moving over, we're going to get pulled in. And it's going to be like this, the first web vortex of this phase, where one team at random will be pulled in. You may not be all the way in position. You may still be over here when you get pulled in, and that's okay. Just make sure you follow the rule that we did before, where the first group that gets pulled in will split left and right, and the second group goes through. In this case, I have blue getting pulled in first and splitting out, and then red, and then everyone moving to collect their orbs. At this point, we're going to get our second and last dispel set of the phase. This one is slightly different than the first set, as she teleports about halfway through when we have to do the dispels. So the first 2 dispels are going to be assigned in her current position. She'll then teleport to the middle, and the 3rd, 4th, and 5th dispels are going to be in the center of the room, which I'll show you now. Again, it's about split even, but it is random. In this case, I have 3 dispels on red and 2 on blue. Blue is always prioritized first, so the first 2 dispels are going to be in her current position. There's the no hitbox, don't go in it unless you're dispels. Again, I'm counting 2, 1, dispel. The 3rd dispel will need to pre-position themselves in the center of the room and get ready for the teleport to be dispelled almost immediately. We're going to have a red frontal that's baited away from the center of the room if possible. And after this frontal, we can all start moving and get ready for the dispels in mid. She teleports to mid here, and we have 2 more dispel, or we have our 3 dispels left. The one that's pre-positioned gets dispelled immediately, and then 4th and 5th, 2, 1 dispel. And that way we will have our last damage amp on Skinny in phase 2. Everyone's going to kind of come back into the middle here, and we're going to get ready for the second intermission. We're going to be starting on opposite markers again, just like we started the phase. Blue on red, red on blue. And that's phase 2. It's pretty easy. Catch y'all later.